Okay.
Hi Mansa, good morning.
Good morning, Manjusha. Um,
Please open your PPT.
yeah, okay, Manjusha. I am sharing my screen now. This is about attribute dimension. Now, attribute dimension is nothing but it is used to categorize a group of members or to identify the group of members in a particular dimension. Uh, Going to next slide. Here in this topic, we will be able to show you the usage of attribute dimension in the following attributes like data forms, runtime prompts, business rules, and a smart view. Going to next slide. Here in this slide, we are going to know how to create an attribute dimension. Um, Before that, we are going to look up some attribute dimension real scenarios. What is an attribute dimension in general? Can you give me an example of an attribute dimension in the Amazon app? Here, attribute dimension is used for a particular member group of members. So, according to the Amazon app, if you see in Amazon app, we can see some categories like fashion, home appliances, or electronic appliances, or kitchen appliances. We have some categories here in the Amazon app. Under that category, for example, in the fashion, we can see dresses or traditional wear or western wear, so on. These are the groups under that fashion category. This is how it related to attribute. An example of an Amazon app. Here, can you explain the difference between standard dimension and attribute dimension? Standard dimension is nothing but while creating the application, by default it will be by default standard dimension will be created, and attribute dimension is created within the dimension, and attribute dimension is used for mostly used for reporting purpose. In which case do we prefer attribute dimension over standard dimension? Here, attribute dimension is used for a group of members. So, for specifying the particularly quality and the characteristics of a data, then we will use attribute dimension over standard dimension. Um, can we assign attribute dimension to dense or sparse dimension? We can assign attribute dimension to dense or sparse, but we can only create attribute dimension in in sparse density. Here, can you show me how to create an attribute dimension? Uh, sure. Here now go into application. Here under navigation, we can see the clusters and cards under navigation. Here under create and manage, we have to click on dimensions. Click on it. Here, if you want to create an attribute dimensions, we have to select on which dimension we want to create an attribute dimension. Here, we can see in the performance settings, we can see whether which is dense and which is sparse dimensions. Here, account is dense dimension, and overall all are space dimension. Here you can see movement, period, consolidation, data source, currency, intercompany, and multi-gap, product, scenario, year, view, entity. These are all sparse dimensions. To create an attribute dimensions, first of all, we have to select the dimensions which we want to create attribute. And here I'm clicking on entity. Specifically, we have to mention the dimension. Here, after clicking on entry, click on ancestor here. This is the main one, and click on it. And we have to click on this icon XYZ. This icon is represents the custom attribute. If you want, by clicking here, we can start a custom attribute, or else we have to go to actions. Under actions also, we can see here the custom attribute option. Click on it. Uh, and click on it. Here, these are the attributes I have created earlier. One, for example, here you can see by click on add icon, we can create the attribute dimension. For example, if I click on here, here we have to mention the name of the attribute, and the name of the attribute should be unique and it should not be repeated. If the attribute dimension name is repeated, then the system will show database error because the system can't understand which value should be identified because it have the similar names. So we have to enter the name and we have to take the type as whether which according to the requirement, if it text or text, date or date, boolean or numeric. Click on save. Here I taken the region. Under region, we have to give the attribute values names. Like we can give child names. We can create childs here. Under region, I have created APAC, USA, Euro, MEA. For example, if you want to create a child here, we have to click on the region and we have to select it. And we have to click on this place symbol, this icon to create a child here. Click on it. Just give a name which we want to create a child. For example, if I create for example, I'm creating India. Click on save. And this is how we created a child under region attribute and close it. This is the way we create the attribute in attribute dimension in within a dimension. Back to PPT. Here, can you show me how to assign attribute dimension to standard dimension? Here, back to application. We can assign attribute dimension to standard dimension, but we have to select select a dimension here. Here already taken entity. Under entity, we have children's child. In this hierarchy, we have to select a particular child, and we have to assign it. For example, if I taken EN01 under EN01, or else here I am taking EN0. EN02 under EN02 I am taking EN02 or for example I will show you another example here. Here I am taking EN0 C200. Click on it. Click on edit option. Under attribute values, we have to select we have to expand the attribute dimension which we have created earlier. We have to select any one of it, either it is USA or Euro or MA or India, which one as the requirement. Click on Euro. For example, I'm taking Euro and add it and just click on save. This is how we assign a standard dimension attribute dimension. Here we can see the option as view. This is under custom attributes. It represents that it is assigned to custom attribute. Back to PPT. Going to next slide. Here you can see the usage of attribute dimension in data forms. For here, can you show me? Can you show how to use attribute dimension in data forms in the page drop down, and show me how the standard dimension members are filtered? Here, tips: use any existing attribute dimension. If not, create one of us below hierarchy. Here, I have already created under entity this region attribute dimension. Under that, we already seen that APAC, Europe, USA, ME, these styles have been created. Tag region attribute dimension to standard dimension entity and randomly assign members of the region to the entity members. If missing zero settings is enabled, Show me how the standard dimension members are filtered for the attribute members. Can you move attribute dimension to the POV and explain the outcome of it? Can you move attribute dimension in the rows and explain the outcome of it? Can you move attribute dimension to the columns and explain out of it? Yeah. Going to application now, back to application. Here under navigator, click on navigator under create and manage, go to forms. After in forms under library, expand it. Under testing, I have created an form under attribute dimension form. Click on it, or else if you want to create a new one, click on add symbol and create it. I'm editing it. Under layout, go to layouts. Under layouts, you can see these are all the integrations we have taken in the attribute dimension form. Here, I have taken a view as periodic view and movements as no movements, consolidation as entity import. In point of view, FCC here gap as local gap and period as Jan. Here scenario as actual. Under currency, I have taken it as entity currency. Here FCCS data has been taken in a data source uh, dimension and intercompany as no intercompany and product as no product. Here year as FY21. Here we can see the attribute dimensions which we have created earlier and region and population. Here under rows I have taken accounts as total assets and in columns I have taken EN01 and EN0102. Now we can see the preview of this form. This is the preview of this form. Here, this is the region. We can shift this attribute dimension to point of view, and we can see the point of view. For example, I am selecting the attribute dimension child as member as USA and clicking OK. Here you can see the attribute dimension member and save it. Click OK. We can select in preview. For example, in preview, we can also see. Here we can see the region as a USA, the attribute dimension. Click OK. Here, next we can shift these two rows. For example, we can take the attribute dimension in rows and click on save. And we can see the preview for the attribute dimension. Here you can see the attribute dimension here to specify only the member. We can also add it in columns. Click save. Click OK. You can see in preview. This is how we add attribute dimension in rows. I'm taking it. This is how we create attribute dimension in forms. Click on finish. Before showing, this is the preview. If you want to know the reads, this is the attribute dimension. You can see in the forms. Back to PPT. Here, and going to next slide. The usage of attribute dimension in runtime prompts. Can we assign attribute dimension or attribute dimension members in the runtime prompts? If yes, can you show me how to assign attribute dimension or attribute dimension member in runtime prompts? Can you show me only a few attribute dimensions limited in the runtime prompts? For example, APAC and Europe. Okay. Now back to application. Here, now in the application, click on navigator. Under create and manage, click on rules. Here we have to, under actions, we have to take a variable designer. It will open another slide. Here under expand the EPM cloud, expand the FCCS, your application. Click on console. Here, here if you want to create an runtime prompt, click on actions, click on new. And here we have to give the name to the runtime prompt. Here I have already taken the name as RTP entity attribute. We have to give the type as a member, and here we have to take the dimension as which I have already created region attribute dimension. I have mentioned here. Click OK. Here under limits, we have to check the runtime prompt here. If you uncheck, it will be removed. Just check on it, and we have to select the limit to the attribute value. Click on function. Here we have the function names like ancestors, attributes between children, descendants, equal, expand. These are the functions which we can use here according to the requirement. I am taking as attribute dimension. Click on it. We have to select the member for the attribute dimension. Go to members here. Here we have to take the attribute dimension name. We have here I have taken the region attribute dimension. Just select on it, click OK. And here we have to click on OK. Here we can see the attribute dimension region and default value as I have given the same here. Here I am giving the please enter the entity and save it. Here we can have the save option button. Click on it. And this runtime prompt has been saved here. You can see here the default value and everything. Name. Now back to PPT. Here, can you going to next slide? Can you show me how many functions are available to use attributes in business rules? This is the reference link, and can you show me the at least two functions of an attribute in business rules? Choose randomly any attribute dimension member. Choose any random combination of standard dimension. Create input sheet in SmartView. Create an output in SmartView. Create business rule with the function attribute function. Execute the business rule. Show me the result here. Here back to application. Here under system view, we have already seen some functions of some functions here. These are all the functions which we have used in runtime prompts. Here back to system view. Under system view, we have to expand EPM cloud, expand FCCS, expand console. Under console, expand rules. Here we can create the rules. We can see some of the predefined rules here, which we can see that is as a default. While creating the application automatically, we have some predefined rules here by default. Click on actions and click on new object. If you want to create a new rule here, just click on new object, and we have to give a name to that. this application name is APM Cloud, and we have to give the application as FCCS to your application name. We can give it as consoles and the object as a rule, as we are creating a rule, and we have to give the name for the particular. We have to give the particular name to the rule. Okay, but already I have created a attribute value rule here. Click on it. It will show you. It will open a new slide. Under here we can see the attribute entity attribute runtime prompt entity attribute here, which we have created. Here now we have to fix the end. Here this is the prompt. Enter fix and open a bracket and open a curve bracket, and we have to enter the prompt value which we have entered before and close it and fix the end. Just click on save and validate it. Click OK. After validating the runtime prompt, click on options, click on deploy. Click on OK. Now back to PPT. Now we can see that prompt in business roles. Back to application. Here we have to go to navigation. Click on navigation. Under dashboards, we have rules here. Click on it. Now we have to click on the rule which we have created before. This is the attribute rule I have created. Click on launch. Here you can see the runtime prompt which we have created earlier. These are the integrations we have taken, consolidation. We have to take these all integrations and we have to launch it. This is how we use attributes in business rules. Back to PPT. Going to next slide. Here, can you show me how to insert an attribute in the smart view? Can you show me a report with the attribute dimension? Choose two random combinations. Enter any random number in the those combinations. Show the explaining of input members are reported by the each of the attribute dimension members. Example, APAC region as an example. Okay. Back to application. Sorry. Now, based on smart view, how we will use attributes, we can see now. Go to Excel sheet. Take a new blank workbook. Go to smart view. Here under smart view, we have to click on panels. Here we can see the shared connections and private connections. Click on private connections. Here we have to take the URL of smart view. Now we have to enter our credentials. Click OK. Here you can see the URL. Click on expand it. Expand XCCS to go to library. Under library, I'm clicking on the under testing. I have created an attribute dimension form. Click on it. Open through ad hoc analysis. Here you can see the Here you can already see the region attribute dimension which we have created early in the if you have created in the forms that can be seen here. This is how we use attribute dimension in a smart view. This is how we can use attribute dimension in a smart view. Um, that's it. That's it from my end, Manjusha, about attribute dimension. Excuse me, Manjusha. Manjusha.
Yeah, Mansa.
Yeah, this is from my end, Manjusha. I'm done with the presentation.
Okay, Mansa. Thank you.
Thank you, Manjusha.